In the heat-bent afternoon light, the desert shimmered like a brass plate left too close to a fire, and the only movement across its vast sweep was the drag of a wooden handcart pulled by a half-dead mule. On that cart lay Nalin, a young Apache woman paralyzed from the waist down after a cavalry skirmish that had scattered her people and left her abandoned. The boards beneath her were splintered, wrapped with worn strips of rawhide to keep them from separating, and every jolt of the cart rattled through her bones. But she made no sound. She had long since learned that the desert rewarded silence. Up ahead, dust lifted in a loose, lazy column as a lone rider approached. Jack Ryland, a cowboy whose reputation for stubbornness matched the sun's for burning. Jack slowed his horse as he neared the handcart, brow creasing when he realized it wasn't empty. When he saw the woman, he swung down immediately, boots sinking into sand. Nalin stared back at him with the stillness of a hawk perched on a dying branch, neither asking nor expecting anything. Her people had left her behind to hide their trail and lighten their escape. She didn't blame them. She knew the laws of survival. But Jack knelt beside her as if he'd stumbled onto a wounded child. "Who did this to you?" he asked quietly. She blinked once, slow and steady, before answering, "No one did. This is what was chosen." Jack shook his head. Choices didn't sit right when they meant leaving someone to die. He checked her injuries with a gentleness that surprised even him. Her legs were rigid, unmoving, and her skin burned with fever, but her spirit remained unbroken. Jack unstrapped his canteen, holding it to her lips. She drank carefully, watching him as though trying to decide whether he was real or another trick of the heat. When he moved to lift her, she stiffened. "Leave me," she whispered. "I slow the world." Jack ignored her. "Not mine," he said, scooping her up with careful strength. Her weight startled him. It was as if she'd become mostly spirit and stubbornness. He settled her in his saddle, tying strips of cloth to secure her upright before walking beside the horse, reins in hand. Nalin kept her eyes forward, refusing to show fear or gratitude. But Jack saw the way her fingers twitched against the leather, gripping at life with every ounce she had left. They pushed on, the sun sliding lower as the desert changed from gold to copper. Jack knew a trading post lay about 10 miles east, a place where he could find supplies, or maybe someone who knew more about Apache medicine. But as the hours passed, Nalin's breathing grew shallow, and she drifted in and out of delirium, whispering fragments of songs meant for spirits. Jack pressed on, stumbling more than once, but never slowing. He talked to her even when she couldn't answer, telling her about his ranch dreams, about horses that behaved worse than outlaws, about the time he lost a fight with a fence and needed 3 stitches. He spoke not because he expected her to care, but because sound kept fear away. When the moon rose, pale and distant, he finally saw the warm lantern glow of the outpost. Relief swelled hard enough to sting his eyes. But before he could call for help, a rifle cocked behind him. "Drop the reins," a voice ordered. Jack froze. The shadows around the outpost shifted, revealing 3 riders. Men he recognized as Tucker Brannigan's crew, cattle thieves who had once mistaken his patience for weakness. "Didn't expect to see you playing nursemaid," Tucker drawled as he dismounted. "Hand over the girl. Apache always fetch a good trade." Jack's jaw tightened. He stepped slightly in front of the horse, his hand drifting toward the revolver at his belt. "She's not going anywhere with you." Tucker laughed. "You planning to fight 3 men while dragging dead weight?" Nalin stirred, whispering something faintly in Apache, words Jack couldn't understand but felt in his bones. "Don't die for me." Jack didn't plan to. He planned to fight for the both of them. Tucker raised his rifle first, but Jack moved faster. The crack of a shot split the night, dust pluming around Jack's boots as he dove sideways. He fired once, his bullet grazing Tucker's shoulder, and chaos erupted. The horses reared, the thieves scattering for cover. Jack dragged Nalin off the saddle, shielding her body with his own as bullets sliced air overhead. She clutched his sleeve, eyes wild, spirit blazing through exhaustion. Jack whispered, "Stay low," though she could barely lift her arms. He returned fire, forcing the thieves to keep their distance. After a long, breathless exchange, The outpost door burst open and old Maeve Donovan, the owner, stormed out wielding a shotgun nearly as tall as she was. "Get off my land, or I'll bury you in it," she shouted. Tucker's crew, wounded pride outweighing loyalty, retreated into the night, leaving only settling dust and the bitter smell of gunpowder. Jack exhaled shakily, helping Na Lin sit up. She looked at him as if baffled by the idea that anyone, especially a stranger, would choose to stand between her and danger. But Jack only asked, "You hurt?" She shook her head no, though her trembling said otherwise. Maeve hurried over, helping them inside. The outpost was warm, filled with the scent of sage and boiling coffee. Jack eased Na Lin onto a cot, and Maeve began working quickly, mixing herbs and salve she said she learned from an Apache woman decades earlier. "She's got fire in her," Maeve muttered. "That's half the healing." Na Lin watched Jack through half-lidded eyes, noting the dirt on his face, the grazed bullet mark on his sleeve, the stubborn set of his jaw. "Why did you stay?" she whispered finally. Jack sat beside her, resting his elbows on his knees. "Because some folks," he said softly, "ain't meant to be left behind." Her gaze softened for the first time, gratitude flickering like a fragile flame. "Then I will try to live," she said. Jack managed a tired smile. "Good. I was hoping you would." Outside, the desert cooled into quiet silver, and the danger passed like a bad dream. Inside, under warm lantern light, a cowboy kept watch over a woman who had learned, slowly, painfully, that not every road ended in abandonment. And though neither spoke of it, they both sensed that their fates had already begun to braid together, as steady and unyielding as the long desert horizon ahead.